Hey everybody, thanks very much for joining me. If it's your first time to the channel, welcome to the channel. So we're in my backyard studio. You may hear a little bit of traffic. You may hear the odd airplane. We're just going to have to deal with it. I like being outdoors. Today we have a review. It's from Bluetti. It's the EB55. It's sitting right here. Let's get into it. So these large power banks, or solar generators as they're also called, are really hot these days. If you're an overlander, you have one of these. A lot of car campers like to take these. If you're like my family, we like to camp off-grid out of our boat. So a power bank like this is something that's really valuable, really useful. In fact, last year I did buy one. I bought a small Jackery, and this is the Explorer 240. Now, these two units are not comparable, but I wish I had bought a Bluetti instead of the Jackery, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I didn't really do a lot of research before I bought this. I just went ahead and bought it. But I'm going to be comparing the Bluetti to a Jackery product that's quite comparable, the Explorer 500, and hopefully you'll get some education about it and make a decision on your own. So first, let's do an unboxing, see what comes in the box for the Bluetti EB55. So what's in the box? So as you can imagine, the packaging is excellent. It came in another box, an outer box, which is very durable. And here you have an envelope. Inside here is some instructions and your warranty information. A 2-year warranty on Bluetti products, by the way, which is pretty comparable across the board with these types of products. And here, what do we have? Okay, so various cables. We have a charger for the wall and the cable that comes with it. It's a big heavy-duty unit. Has a fan as well. We have another cable. So that's an MC4 connection, and that's an XT60F. So I knew this is the type of connection that the Bluetti would be using, and I also knew that it would not fit my existing solar charger, so I had to upgrade my solar panel game. So I've ordered a panel that will accept this type of connection. And we also have a car charger that has the same end, this MC4 connection. So that's what comes in the package. You're set up to charge out of the wall socket. You're set up to charge solar. You're also set up to charge from your car. Remove this layer. There's the unit itself. So I like the design of it, nice and rugged, looks well made. There's the front panel. We'll do a little 360 for you. There's a fan on the side, a light on the back, another fan on the side, back to the front panel. So there are 2 fans, one on each side. One fan draws in cool air, the other fan exhausts the warm air, keeping your Bluetti EB55 cool. Keeping electronics cool is key for long life. Now the light is really nice because it's diffused light. It's not like a really bright light. There's low, there's high. It has an SOS function as well. There's the light. Now let's take a close look at the front panel, because there are a lot of inputs. I can't see you ever needing more inputs than this on a unit of this size. So let's go over some of the general specs of this unit. It has an inverter rated at 700 watts. That inverter can surge to 1400 watts. The capacity is 537 watt hours. The battery type is a lithium iron phosphate battery. Now that's key. Most units at this price point and of this size don't have a lithium iron phosphate battery. Now that's key to the longevity of the unit We're going to get into that later. Now the weight is about 16.5 pounds. The size is about 11 inches by 8 by 8. Now you can use this in a variety of temperatures. You can discharge it at temperatures of -4 up to 105 degrees. You can charge it at ambient temperatures of 32 degrees all the way up to 104 degrees. So you can use this in a variety of environments. You should keep it out of the rain. You should also keep it out of direct sunlight. You don't want to overheat the unit needlessly. So let's start talking about the input. That's where all those cables that we looked at come into play here. Now you can charge this at up to 400 watts. That's phenomenal. You can charge two ways at once as well. You can charge AC and you can also charge by solar. You can charge with your car charger at about 98 watts at 12 volts. You can do AC charging, 200 watts max. You can do solar charging at a 200 watt max. You can do AC and solar at 400 watts max. You can also dual charge AC. Now you'll have to buy an additional charger for that, but you can charge dual AC ports at 400 watts max. Now that's amazing. 400 watts will charge this unit up in no time. Now let's talk output, starting here with this DC output here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 USB-A outlets. Each of them is 5 volts and 3 amps. So that's excellent. You can charge 4 USB-A devices at once. Up here there's a USB-C outlet. That's rated at a whopping 100 watts. Now that's awesome. It's good forward thinking for Bluetti because a lot of the newer laptops, high-powered laptops, are charging using USB-C. And probably everything in the future will be using USB-C. So that's excellent that they included that on the EB55. Okay, so let's check out these other DC outputs. Here we have what we would commonly call a cigarette lighter. Now that's 12 volts, 10 amps, 120 watts. There are a lot of outdoor devices that would use this cigarette lighter output. So it's great that they have this on the Bluetti. Now we have 2 barrel type ports. They're 12 volt, 10 amp, 120 watts. 2 of them. So we have our DCs pretty well covered. Let's move down to the AC output and that pure sine wave inverter. On the AC side, we have 4 outputs up to 700 watts pure sine wave power. Now it looks like the top 2 plugs are grounded. They're not actually grounded, but they will accept a grounded plug. Now pure sine wave, that's pretty important. Laptops, tablets, a lot of electronics actually require pure sine wave power. Otherwise you can damage them. A lot of cheaper generators do not have a pure sine wave output. You can damage your sensitive electronics. Of course, Bluetti included that in the EB55. So we have 5, 9, 12 ways on the front panel that we can output and use the Bluetti EB55, but there's one more way which is really cool in my books. Up top we have a wireless charging with an output of 15 watts. That's great. Most cell phones nowadays accept wireless charging. All you have to do is power up the DC side on the unit, drop your phone on top, and it starts to charge wirelessly. While we're up top, this handle is great. It folds flat. A lot of units have a handle that sticks up. It's obtrusive, it's hard to use, but this folding flat handle is a nice ergonomic design. Look at River, isn't she cute? So let's talk about the display and general use. So these 3 areas for the outputs need to be turned on individually before you use them. If you want to use the AC output, you need to turn this on. Right now, let's use the DC output, power this unit up. So as you can see, the display is easy to read. 0 watts coming in. I'm not charging this, but I do have my phone on the wireless charger, So when that kicks in, as it did just now, you can see I'm drawing 3 watts charging my phone. I really love that wireless charger for the phone. Very handy. So as I said, you need to turn every one of these output areas on individually to use them. You can use them all at once, but you do have to turn them on individually. So getting back to the display, it's easy to read. It turns off automatically after a short amount of time to conserve power, which is a good thing. Now, as regards how much juice is left in the battery, there's a bar here in 20% increments. So once your power goes down 20%, you will lose 1 bar. Another 20%, you will lose the second bar. It doesn't tell you exactly how much juice you have left, but it goes down by percentages according to the bar graph. So let's talk a minute about the batteries that are inside the Jackery and the Bluetti EB55. Now in the Explorer 240, there's lithium-ion batteries. There's lithium-ion batteries in the Explorer 500 as well. The Explorer 500 is the competitor to the EB55. Now, there are lithium iron phosphate batteries in the EB55. The two technologies are extremely different, and there are huge differences, practically speaking. So with the Jackery, after you charge it 500 times, you go through 500 charging cycles, the battery starts to degrade. You can no longer charge it to 100%, you'll only be able to charge it to 80%. You can still use the unit, it works fine, but you will only be able to charge it to 80%. The EB55, on the other hand, allows you to charge it 2,500 times before you start to see the battery degrading. Now that is huge. After 2,500 charging cycles, the batteries degrade on the EB55 as well. You'll only be able to charge it to 80% capacity. But the bottom line is, you can charge this one 5 times more than the Jackery before that starts to happen. That's extremely significant, and it's something to really consider hard when you're deciding which one of these units to purchase. So now let's get to the meat and potatoes part of the review, usage. Now you're not going to get a highly technical review out of me. I don't have an electronics bench where I can monitor volts in and out and give you all kinds of technical information. That's not my kind of review. I'm going to simply use the unit like I would normally use the unit. I'm going to charge it using various methods. I'm going to plug various appliances and devices into it, monitor how fast it charges things, monitor how efficient I believe it is, and I'm going to test it to its limits possibly. So household appliances, power tools, all our devices, the things that we would normally use this for, that's what I'm going to do and take you along for the ride. Let's get started. So it's a pretty sunny day, perfect day to check out the solar capabilities of the EB55. So I did say I needed to upgrade my solar panel game. Yesterday I ordered the Bluetti 120 watt solar panel. Now 120 I believe is the minimum you want to go with a unit this size. I would have liked the 200, but to keep costs down I went with the 120. Now in the future I could purchase another 120 watt solar panel, run them together, double my solar panel capacity. But for now, we're going to run with the 120 watt Bluetti solar panel. So let's plug in the Bluetti 120 watt solar panel into the EB55, see what happens. The clouds are intermittent. Right now it's not too bad. We're drawing 85 watts into the Bluetti. Now you're never going to get 100% efficiency out of any solar panel. So 86 out of a 120 watt solar panel on a day with obstructed clouds isn't too bad in my opinion. Let me know in the comments if you think we could do better. Certainly with no clouds we get more. So that's good. 86, 87 watts input on the solar panel. Now since we can charge the Bluetti and discharge the Bluetti at the same time, let's try that. So let's try charging the Bluetti with the solar panel and discharging it at the same time. And we'll be charging up my Jackery 240. So as you can see, we're drawing in 79 watts and we're discharging 62 watts. The Jackery is reading that it's drawing in 62 watts. So actually we're drawing in 81 watts now off the solar panel. So we're charging the Jackery 240 with watts to spare. That's good to know. So we could potentially be charging camera batteries, phones, other types of batteries easily and not drawing any power from the EB55. So as you can see by the display, we're only pulling in 9 watts. The sun has went in, the cloud cover has taken over for the moment. So let's plug in the AC and see what we can get out of AC and solar. This is on a 100-foot extension cord, so not the best conditions, but we're getting 221, 222 watts input. So here I have a Bosch reciprocating saw, pretty common tool to be using for construction and home maintenance. Let's run it using the EB55 and the solar panel. Running as normal. Certainly you'd be limited in the amount of time you could use this, but with constantly charging via the solar panel, I think you could use it for quite a few hours. So I was sitting around tonight wondering if I even had enough devices to fill up all 13 outputs on the EB55. So let's see if I do. I gathered up what devices I had handy. Let's start with my laptop. That's charging. Let's continue charging up the Jackery 240. That's charging. While we're at it, let's throw my iPhone up top. That's charging now. What else do we have? We have some camera batteries from my GoPro. Let's throw them on. They're charging. We have a 10,000 milliamp power brick. Let's throw that on. That's charging. Awesome. How about my GoPro? Let's start charging my GoPro. There we go, that's charging. We have a tablet. Yep, there we go, tablet is charging. Let's throw my Garmin InReach on the charger as well. And this huge through night flashlight. There we go. And just for good measure, let's throw this through night headlamp up here in the USB-C port. There we go. So we have all these devices. We have 4, 8, 9, 10, including my iPhone charging all at once. That's quite a mess of wires. We're only taking 167, 169 watts approximately. So still way below the threshold of 700 watt inverter pure sine wave. So that's quite a mess. It certainly is ridiculous for one person to have all these devices charging at once, but if you were camping with 3 or 4 people and everybody had a camera with camera batteries and a phone, maybe a few emergency beacons, you could easily end up with a mess that looks something like this. So it's nice to know that the EB55 can handle it. So if you're heading out on a car camping trip or perhaps an extended road trip, you might want to bring the Bluetti. Let's see how much power we can pull from the 12 volt accessory jack in our SUV for charging the Bluetti. So only about 22 watts, 23 watts. That's not a lot, so you may want to consider supplementing with solar power on an extended trip. And if you're like me and never leave the house without a toaster, well, you're definitely bringing the Bluetti. So thanks for sticking around for my final thoughts on the EB55. I've had about 3 weeks to test it and play around with it, and I must say I'm pretty impressed. It's done all the tasks I've asked it to do, usually with juice to spare. I've done various things with it. I've ran small power tools, I've ran small home appliances, and of course I charged all my devices. Each time it did exactly what I expected it to do. The ability to dual charge is a big plus for me. You can charge solar and AC or 12 volt at the same time. The only con for me, and it's a very small thing, would be the display. I wish that it showed the exact percentage of how much juice is left in the EB55 instead of a bar graph of 20% increments. But the reality is it's not really a big deal. When I get down to around 20%, I know it's time to charge up the Bluetti EB55. Who is this for? Well, campers. Campers in general are going to love having something like this. If you're an overlander on an extended trip running a small fridge, a car camper, or a boat camper like we like to do, this is a really useful item to have. Also, if you're a bit of a prepper, you want to be prepared if the power goes out at home, well, the EB55 would be great to have. You can charge your devices. Perhaps you have something that you actually need to use, like a CPAP machine or something like that. The EB55 will be able to power a CPAP machine. So a really useful item for everybody to have, really. So do I recommend the Bluetti EB55 over the Jackery 500? Well, I'm not a Jackery 500 owner, but I do own the Explorer 240 from Jackery. It's a good unit, but it really comes up lacking when compared to the Bluetti EB55. And certainly specs wise, the EB55 wins out over the Jackery Explorer 500. I'm really happy with this. It's given me no problems over the last 3 weeks, and I expect I'll get years of good use out of it. Thanks very much for watching. It's truly appreciated. I'm going to leave a link down below so you can check out the EB55 for yourself and all Bluetti products actually. Maybe you'll find something that's useful to you. We'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye for now.